Jack Reaper Thompson stood at the edge of the communal yard, his eyes scanning the alien faces around him. A massive, scaly creature shoved past him, snarling. "Out of the way, meat." Jack's calm eyes betrayed nothing, but his mind cataloged the threat. This wasn't Earth, and these weren't human bullies. Here in Orion's Bane, even the weakest needed to be strong or die trying. "Enjoy your last moments, human," Grok's voice rumbled from behind, dripping with menace. Jack turned slowly, a ghost of a smile on his lips. "You'll find out soon enough." Jack Reaper Thompson's first impression of Orion's Bane was the oppressive silence. The Galactic Pinel Station, a fortress of cold steel and unyielding concrete, loomed around him like a predatory beast. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting harsh shadows that seemed to hide more than they revealed. Jack's processing was swift and impersonal. The guards, towering insectoid creatures known as Thax, moved with mechanical efficiency. One of them, an imposing figure with mandibles clicking menacingly, scanned Jack's retinal pattern and implanted a tracking chip in his neck with a quick, painful jab. "Welcome to hell, human," the guard rasped, shoving Jack towards the cell blocks. Jack stumbled but kept his footing, his eyes cold and calculating. As he walked through the labyrinthine corridors, Jack couldn't help but notice the diverse array of inmates, from the towering reptilian GRS to the eerily serene telepathic Sands. Each alien species represented a unique threat, yet all eyes seemed to zero in on Jack, the lone human, a new, seemingly easy target in a sea of predators. "Fresh meat," a hulking Girth hissed, his scaly lips curling into a sneer. Jack ignored him, focusing instead on memorizing the layout, the guards' routines and the subtle interactions among inmates. Jack's cell was a stark metal box with barely enough room to stretch out. As the door clanged shut, he took a deep breath, allowing the gravity of his situation to settle. He had faced worse, far worse. This was just another battlefield, and he knew how to navigate those. The first few days were a blur of taunts and minor skirmishes. Jack was careful not to react, maintaining an air of disinterested calm, but he was always watching, always analyzing. He learned that Groz, a massive, brutish alien with dark leathery skin and razor-sharp tusks, ruled the prison with an iron fist. His gang enforced a brutal hierarchy, preying on the weak and challenging any perceived threats. "Hey, meatbag," one of Groz's lackeys, a wiry creature with too many eyes and not enough brains, snarled, shoving Jack into a wall. "Grok wants a word with you." Jack's jaw tightened, but he nodded, following the lackey to the center of the yard, where Groz held court. The alien warlord lounged on a makeshift throne, his cold eyes appraising Jack with a mix of amusement and disdain. "Human," Groz growled, his voice like gravel crunching underfoot. "I hear you're tough. Think you can survive here?" Jack met his gaze steadily. "Survive?" Laughter erupted from the surrounding aliens, but Grok didn't join in. He leaned forward, a cruel smile playing on his lips. "We'll see about that." For the next week, Jack was subjected to relentless torment. Grok's gang hounded him at every turn, shoving him, stealing his meager rations, and attacking him in the dead of night. Jack took it all with stoic endurance, his mind a whirlwind of strategies and counterattacks. He knew better than to show his hand too soon. One night, as Jack lay on his bunk nursing bruised ribs, Zix, a frail but intelligent alien with large, sorrowful eyes, shuffled into his cell. Zix had been watching Jack, his curiosity piqued by the human's resilience. "You're not like the others," Zix whispered, glancing nervously at the door. "Why do you endure this?" Jack studied the alien for a moment before responding. "Because I'm not ready to strike yet. Need to understand my enemy." Zix nodded slowly. "Groz is dangerous, but he's not invincible. He has weaknesses." "Then let's talk," Jack said, a plan beginning to form in his mind. The next morning, the air in the yard was tense. Jack moved with deliberate caution, his senses hyper-alert. He had decided it was time to test the waters. As he passed one of Grok's lackeys, he subtly tripped the alien, sending him sprawling. The yard fell silent, all eyes on Jack. "What's the matter?" Jack taunted, his voice carrying across the yard. "Can't handle a little human." The lackey scrambled to his feet, rage contorting his features. He lunged at Jack, who sidestepped smoothly and delivered a swift, calculated punch to the alien's gut. The lackey crumpled, gasping for breath. A murmur of shock rippled through the crowd. Grok's eyes narrowed. "You've got guts, human, but guts can get you killed." Jack met his gaze without flinching. "I've faced death before." The morning after Jack's confrontation with Grok's gang, the prison buzzed with new energy. Whispers and furtive glances followed him everywhere. Jack could feel the shift in the air. He had become the new target, and Groves wouldn't let the challenge go unanswered. Jack continued his daily routine with an air of calm, but inside, his mind was racing. Every interaction, every move he made was carefully calculated. He knew Grok's gang would strike soon, and he had to be ready. In the mess hall, the usual den of conversation hushed as Jack entered. He walked to his usual table alone, but the silence that followed him was palpable. As he sat, he could feel the eyes of Grok's lackeys on him. They were planning something. Rex, still nursing his bruised ego and jaw, approached with a sneer. "Enjoying your meal, human?" he taunted, his voice dripping with venom. Jack didn't look up from his tray. "More than I enjoy your face, Rex." The mess hall erupted in a mix of laughter and gasps. Rex's eyes blazed with fury, and he slammed his fist onto Jack's table, sending his tray flying. "You think you're tough, huh? We'll see about that." Jack stood up slowly, his gaze locked onto Rex's. "I don't think, Rex." "I know." Before Rex could react, the guards stepped in, separating them and restoring order. Jack knew this wasn't over. He could see the resolve in Rex's eyes. The storm was brewing. That evening, Jack returned to his cell, his body tense. He knew an ambush was imminent. As he entered the cell, Zix appeared, his eyes wide with fear. "Jack, they're coming for you. Grok's men. They're planning to corner you in the laundry room tonight." Jack nodded, his expression calm. "Thanks for the heads up, Zix. I'll be ready." Zix looked worried. "You can't fight them all, Jack. You need help." "I don't plan to fight them all," Jack replied, a plan already forming in his mind. "I just need to make a point." Later that night, Jack made his way to the laundry room, his senses on high alert. The room was dimly lit, the hum of machinery masking the sound of footsteps. He moved silently, blending into the shadows. He knew they were here, waiting for him. "Come out, human," a voice called from the darkness. It was Rex, and he wasn't alone. "Let's finish what you started." Jack stepped into the light, his posture relaxed but ready. "I'm right here, Rex. Let's see what you've got." Rex and his lackeys emerged from the shadows, surrounding Jack. There were 4 of them, each looking eager for a fight. Jack knew he had to act fast and decisively. Rex lunged first, but Jack was ready. He sidestepped the attack, delivering a swift punch to Rex's ribs, making him grunt in pain. One of the lackeys swung a makeshift weapon, but Jack ducked and countered with a blow to the knee, sending the attacker to the ground. The fight was intense but brief. Jack's military training and quick reflexes gave him the upper hand. He moved with precision, disabling his attackers with a series of rapid strikes. Within minutes, Rex and his men were on the ground, groaning in pain. Jack stood over them, breathing heavily but victorious. "Tell Grok this is just the beginning," he said, his voice cold. "If he wants a fight, he'll get one." Leaving the laundry room, Jack felt a surge of adrenaline. He had sent a clear message, but he knew this was only the start. Groves wouldn't back down easily, and the real battle was yet to come. The next day, the atmosphere in the prison was electric. News of the fight had spread, and Jack's reputation was growing. Inmates who had once viewed him as weak now looked at him with a mix of fear and respect. Even Grok's gang seemed more cautious, their eyes filled with uncertainty. Jack met with Zix and his other potential allies in a secluded corner of the yard. "We've made our move," he said quietly. "Now we need to be smart. We hit them where it hurts, disrupt their operations, make them see we're not to be messed with." Finn, a wiry alien with sharp eyes, nodded. "We can start by sabotaging their supply routes. They rely on those to keep control." Ira, a tech-savvy inmate with a knack for hacking, added, "I can get into their communications, mess with their plans. It'll drive them crazy." Borak, the muscle of the group, grinned. "And if they want to fight, I'll be ready." Jack nodded, feeling a sense of camaraderie growing among them. "Good. We move tonight. Stay sharp and stay safe. We're in this together." Jack felt the tension rise as he walked through the dimly lit corridors of Orion's Bane. The confrontation with RX had marked him, and the eyes of every inmate seemed to burn into his back. He knew Groves wouldn't let this slide. He was ready for whatever came next. One evening, as Jack returned to his cell, he found Z waiting for him. The frail alien's eyes were wide with urgency. "Jack, they're planning something big. You need to be careful." Jack nodded, his mind already racing through scenarios. "What do you know?" "Groves is furious. He's gathering his lieutenants tonight. They're planning to ambush you," Zix whispered, his voice trembling. "You need allies, Jack. You can't face them alone." Jack leaned against the cold wall of his cell, considering Zix's words. "Who can I trust?" Zix hesitated, then said, "There's a group of us. We've been watching you. We hate Groves as much as you do. We can help." Jack's eyes narrowed. "Why now? Why not before?" "Because we needed hope," Zix replied simply. "We needed someone to show us it was possible to fight back." Jack nodded, the pieces falling into place. "All right, get your group together. We need a plan." That night, in the shadowed recesses of the prison, Jack met with Zix and a handful of other inmates. There was Finn, a wiry alien with quick reflexes and sharp eyes, Borak, a massive creature whose brute strength was matched by his quiet intelligence, and Ira, a cunning strategist with a knack for technology. "We all have reasons to hate Groves," Jack began, looking each of them in the eye. "But hatred alone won't win this. We need to be smart, and we need to be united." Finn nodded. "We've got eyes on Groves' gang. They stick to a routine, same routes every day. If we disrupt that, we can start picking them off." Iris spoke up next, her voice low but determined. "I can hack the security systems. Give us access to their communications. We can anticipate their moves." Borak cracked his knuckles, a grim smile on his face. "And when it comes to a fight, I've got your back, Jack." Jack felt a spark of hope. "All right, we start small. Sabotage their supplies, disrupt their routines. We hit them where it hurts, make them question their strength." Over the next few days, Jack and his newfound allies set their plan into motion. Ira hacked into the prison's communication network, providing valuable intel on Groves' movements. Finn and Borak executed precise sabotage missions, causing confusion and unrest among the gang members. Groves' lieutenants were the first to feel the pressure. Supplies went missing, and their usual haunts became dangerous traps. The once cohesive gang started showing cracks, suspicion and paranoia taking root. One afternoon, as Jack and Borak walked through the yard, they saw the fruits of their labor. Two of Groves' lieutenants were arguing, each accusing the other of incompetence. Jack smirked, knowing this was just the beginning. "Hey, meatbag," a voice snarled. Jack turned to see RX still nursing a bruised ego from their last encounter. "Groves wants you dead, and I'm happy to oblige." RX lunged, but this time Jack was ready. He sidestepped the attack and landed a solid punch to RX's jaw, sending him sprawling. Vorik stepped forward, a menacing presence, and the remaining lackey hesitated, unsure whether to attack or retreat. "Back off," Jack growled, "or you'll end up like him." The lackeys exchanged uncertain glances before retreating, leaving RX groaning on the ground. Jack watched them go, a sense of satisfaction washing over him. He turned to Borak. "They're scared. This is good, but we can't let up." Borak nodded. "We won't. What's next?" "We keep hitting them harder, faster," Jack replied, determination in his eyes. "We make Groves realize he's not the only predator here." As the days passed, Jack's alliance grew stronger. The small acts of defiance and sabotage began to take their toll on Groves' gang. The prison buzzed with whispers of rebellion, and Jack's reputation as a force to be reckoned with solidified. In a secluded corner of the yard, Six approached Jack, his eyes gleaming with excitement. "It's working, Jack. They're scared. They're falling apart." Jack nodded, but his mind was already on the next move. "We've shaken them, but we need to break them. Groves is the key. Take him down, and the rest will follow." The tension in Orion's Bane had reached a boiling point. Jack's alliance was making waves, and Groves' control was slipping. The once cohesive gang was now a fractured group, each member watching their back, unsure of whom to trust. Jack knew it was only a matter of time before Groves made a desperate move. One evening, as Jack was making his way back to his cell, he sensed a change in the air. The corridors were unusually quiet, and the few inmates he passed wore expressions of nervous anticipation. Jack's instincts screamed at him to stay alert. "Jack!" Zix's urgent whisper reached him as the frail alien darted out from the shadows. "It's happening tonight. Groves is planning to take you out." Jack nodded, his expression grim. "Where?" "The maintenance tunnels. They think they can ambush you there." "Away from prying eyes," Zix replied, his voice shaking. "Then that's where we'll make our stand," Jack said, his resolve hardening. "Get the others ready." As night fell, Jack and his allies made their way to the maintenance tunnels. The air was thick with the smell of oil and metal, and the dim lighting cast eerie shadows on the walls. Jack's mind was focused, his senses heightened. This was it, the moment they'd been preparing for. They reached a narrow junction in the tunnels, a perfect place for an ambush. Jack signaled for his allies to take their positions. Finn and Ira crouched behind a stack of crates, ready to spring their trap. Vorik stood beside Jack, his massive frame a comforting presence. "Remember, we hit hard and fast," Jack whispered. The silence was broken by the sound of approaching footsteps. Jack's heart pounded in his chest, but he remained outwardly calm. He saw the first shadow flicker on the wall. Groves' men were close now. "Now," Jack muttered. In an instant, the tunnels erupted into chaos. Finn and Ira launched their attack, disabling the lights and plunging the area into darkness. Vorik charged forward with a roar, his powerful arms sweeping two of Groves' lackeys off their feet. Jack moved like a shadow, his training kicking in. He engaged one of the attackers, his movements precise and deadly. Quick jab to the throat, a swift kick to the knee. His opponent crumpled to the ground, gasping for breath. The sound of fighting echoed through the tunnels. Jack caught a glimpse of Groves, his eyes glowing with fury as he barreled towards him. Jack's pulse quickened. This was the moment he had been waiting for. "You think you can take me down, human?" Groves snarled, his voice dripping with contempt. "I'll crush you like the insect you are." Jack didn't waste words. He lunged at Groves, using his smaller size to his advantage. He ducked under a wild swing and landed a solid punch to Groves' ribs. The alien grunted but quickly recovered, his massive fist connecting with Jack's shoulder and sending him sprawling. Pain shot through Jack's arm, but he forced himself to roll away and get back on his feet. He couldn't afford to let Groves gain the upper hand. He finted to the left, drawing Groves into overextending, then drove his elbow into the alien's gut. Groves roared in pain and fury, lashing out with a powerful kick that caught Jack in the ribs. Jack felt the breath leave his lungs, but he refused to go down. He staggered back, trying to catch his breath. "You're tougher than you look," Groves admitted, a grudging respect in his voice, "but not tough enough." Groves charged again, but this time Jack was ready. He sidestepped the attack and grabbed a metal pike from the ground. With a swift, powerful swing, he brought it down on Groves's knee, causing the alien to howl in agony and collapse. Jack didn't give him a chance to recover. He moved in, delivering a series of rapid strikes that left Groves dazed and bleeding. Finally, with one last effort, Jack delivered a knockout blow, sending Groves to the ground, unconscious. The tunnel fell silent. Jack stood over Groves's motionless form, his chest heaving with exertion. He turned to see Borak, Finn, and Ira standing victorious, the remaining attackers either subdued or fled. "We did it," Borak rumbled, a rare smile breaking across his face. Jack nodded, his adrenaline slowly ebbing away. "This isn't over yet. Groves's gang is still out there, but we've taken down their leader. They'll be disorganized and scared. Now we move in and finish this." Jack could feel the shift in the air the moment he stepped into the cell block the next morning. Word of Groves's defeat had spread like wildfire. Inmates who once avoided eye contact now looked at him with a mix of respect and apprehension. The balance of power was shifting, and Jack knew he had to act quickly to consolidate his position. Jack gathered his allies in a secluded corner of the yard. Borak, Finn, Ira, and Zix formed a tight circle around him, their faces grim but determined. "Groves is down, but his gang is still out there," Jack began, his voice low and steady. "They'll be disorganized, but we need to strike before they regroup. We hit them hard and fast, take out their strongholds, and show them we mean business." Finn nodded, his sharp eyes scanning the yard. "We've got intel on their main hideouts. They've been using the old storage rooms in Block C." "Good," Jack replied. "Ira, can you shut down the power to Block C? We need to catch them off guard." Ira grinned, her fingers already flying over a makeshift data pad. "Consider it done. Borak, you and Finn take point," Jack continued. "Zix and I will cover the rear. We move in silence, take out any resistance, and secure the area. No unnecessary risks." As the group dispersed to prepare, Jack took a moment to steel himself. This was it, the final push. If they succeeded, the power dynamic in Orion's Bane would change permanently. If they failed, they would be crushed under Groves's remnants. Night fell, casting long shadows through the corridors of Orion's Bane. The prison was eerily silent, the usual hum of activity replaced by a tense stillness. Jack and his team moved like ghosts, slipping through the dimly lit halls towards Block C. Ira's handiwork had plunged the block into darkness, the only light coming from the occasional flicker of emergency beacons, casting an ominous red glow. Jack's heart pounded in his chest, but he kept his breathing steady, his mind focused. They reached the first storage room. Borak signaled for silence, then kicked the door open with a powerful thrust. Inside, two of Groves's men scrambled to their feet, eyes wide with shock. Before they could react, Borak and Finn were on them, taking them down with swift, efficient blows. "Clear," Borak grunted, his eyes scanning the room for any hidden threats. Jack nodded and motioned for the others to follow. They moved from room to room, dismantling Groves's network with ruthless precision. Each encounter was brief and brutal, the element of surprise working in their favor. As they approached the final stronghold, Jack felt a surge of adrenaline. This was where the core of Groves's gang had holed up, their last line of defense. He signaled for his team to take position, then crept forward to scout the situation. Through the cracked door, Jack saw a dozen of Groves's lieutenants huddled around a table covered in maps and data pads. They were arguing, their voices tense and strained. Jack's lips curled into a grim smile. They were scared, and rightfully so. He turned back to his team, whispering, "This is it. We go in hard and fast, no mercy." Borak nodded, his massive hands tightening around a makeshift club. Finn and Ira prepared their weapons, their eyes steely with determination. Zix, though nervous, stood ready. Makeshift shiv in his hand, Jack counted down silently. 3, 2, 1. They burst into the room, the element of surprise once again on their side. The lieutenants barely had time to react before Jack and his team were upon them. Vorak's club swung with devastating force, sending 2 aliens crashing into the wall. Finn's quick reflexes and sharp aim took down another 3 before they could draw their weapons. Jack moved with lethal efficiency, his fists and feet a blur of motion. He dodged a wild swing from a hulking brute, then delivered a crushing blow to the alien's temple, dropping him instantly. He felt a surge of satisfaction as the lieutenants fell one by one, their resistance crumbling under the onslaught. In the chaos, Jack spotted a familiar face. Rax Gross, Grok's right-hand man. The alien's eyes widened in fear as he saw Jack approaching, his bravado evaporating in the face of imminent defeat. End of the line, Rax, Jack growled, grabbing the alien by the collar and slamming him against the wall. Where's the rest of your gang? Rax whimpered, his tough facade shattered, scattered. They ran when they heard you coming. Please, don't kill me. Jack's eyes were cold as steel. You're lucky I'm not like Grok. Get out of my sight, and if I see you again, you won't be so lucky. Rax scrambled away, his tail between his legs. Jack turned back to his team, who stood amidst the wreckage of Grok's empire, breathing heavily but victorious. We did it, Lyra said, a hint of disbelief in her voice. We actually did it. Jack nodded, a rare smile crossing his face. This is just the beginning. We've taken down Grok's gang, but now we have to build something better, something fair. The morning after the decisive strike, the atmosphere in Orion's Bane was palpably different. Inmates whispered in hushed tones, casting furtive glances at Jack and his allies. The once dominant gang of Grok was shattered, their influence obliterated in a single night. But Jack knew that the real work was just beginning. Jack called a meeting in the common area where he and his team had dismantled the old gang's operations. Inmates of various species gathered, their expressions a mix of hope and weariness. Boro, Finn, Lyra, and Zix stood beside Jack, their presence a testament to the new power dynamic. Jack stepped forward, his voice carrying over the murmurs. Last night we took down Grok's gang. We ended their reign of terror. But this isn't just about taking power. It's about creating a new order, one where everyone has a chance and no one lives in fear. A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, but Jack could see the skepticism in some eyes. He needed to prove that things were truly going to change. We'll start by redistributing the resources Grok hoarded. Jack continued. No more starving, no more hoarding. Everyone gets a fair share. Lyra nodded, stepping forward with a makeshift ledger. We've already inventoried the supplies. Starting today, we'll be fair in how we distribute food, water, and other necessities. Boro's deep voice rumbled, adding weight to the promise. And if anyone thinks they can go back to the old ways, they'll answer to us. The crowd seemed to relax a bit, a flicker of hope sparking in their eyes. But Jack knew action spoke louder than words. They had to see real change. Over the next few days, Jack and his team worked tirelessly to implement their new system. Lyra's technical skills ensured that the prison supply lines were monitored and managed efficiently. Finn organized patrols to keep the peace and prevent any attempts at reclaiming power. Boro's imposing presence deterred any would-be troublemakers, while Zix's intelligence network kept Jack informed of any brewing discontent. One afternoon, as Jack was overseeing the distribution of supplies, he noticed a small group of inmates huddled together, casting suspicious glances his way. He approached them cautiously. "Something on your mind?" Jack asked, his tone neutral. One of the inmates, a wiry alien with sharp features, stepped forward. "We've heard promises before. How do we know this isn't just another power grab?" Jack met the alien's gaze steadily. You don't. Not yet. But actions speak louder than words. Give us a chance to prove ourselves. The alien studied him for a moment, then nodded. All right. We'll be watching. That night, Jack gathered with his core team in their makeshift command center. The atmosphere was tense but hopeful. We've made a good start, Lyra said, her eyes scanning a screen of supply data. But we need to do more to convince the skeptics. Jack nodded. We need to show them that we're not just replacing one turret with another. We need to be transparent, fair, and consistent. And we need to listen. Finn leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. We've already got some goodwill. We just need to build on it. Maybe we should hold regular meetings. Let everyone voice their concerns. Good idea, Jack agreed. And we should set up a council. A group of representatives from different species and factions. Give everyone a voice in how this place is run. Boro grunted approvingly. That'll help show them we mean business. The next day, Jack announced the formation of the council. He called for volunteers and representatives from each group within the prison. The response was cautious but positive. Slowly, the council took shape, a diverse group of inmates united by a common goal: to make Orion's Bane a place where survival didn't mean living in constant fear. At the first council meeting, Jack stood before the assembled representatives. We're here to create something better. This isn't about power. It's about survival. Real survival, where we look out for each other. Hazan, named Thax, known for his wisdom and calm demeanor, spoke up. Trust will take time, but this is a good start. Let's make sure it's not just words. For the next weeks, the changes became evident. The distribution of supplies was fair and transparent. Conflicts were resolved by the council, not through violence. Slowly, the atmosphere in Orion's Bane shifted from one of fear and oppression to one of cautious optimism. One evening, as Jack walked through the corridors, he noticed the difference. Inmates no longer skulked in the shadows, but moved with a newfound sense of purpose. Conversations were no longer whispered but spoken openly. For the first time, Jack felt that their hard work was paying off. As he returned to his cell, he found Zix waiting for him, a rare smile on his face. You've done it, Jack. You've really done it. Jack shook his head. We've done it, Zix. All of us. And we're not done yet. This is just the beginning. Zix nodded, his eyes gleaming with hope. It's a good beginning.